Hello, and welcome to another episode of the BB&J Show. I am Jay. That handsome lad along with me there is BB. And we're bringing you, as we said, consistent and fresh and new amazing content. BB, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling groovy, yo.
Well, as you see, BB's done the mushrooms and someone stepped on his testicles. So we are
Oh my
set and
god.
ready to go. We have a great I'm excited about this show because we're going to talk about something, a game specifically that's near and dear to my heart in a sense. I don't know, you know, this specific version how it's going to be, but the franchise is near and dear to my heart. um but like me on my honeymoon, the Sons of the Forest might have come early. So BB, we're hearing the Sons of the Forest kind of dropped, I feel like, in the dead of night. I kind of feel like they ninja released it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like, because we're gonna talk about like what it is and our thoughts and everything. We'll go in detail. Just as far as like release schedule stuff, the I didn't realize that it was coming out until I saw a tweet. Somebody was like, "Who's playing Sons of the Forest?" And I was like,
hmm
"What?" And I googled it, and it was like February 23rd. And like I just remember for a while, all that was there as far as release date was like TBA
Yeah,
2023
yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that. So I kind of feel like they ninja dropped it, which didn't fill me with confidence. But we'll get more into that. BB, why don't you talk to us about like what is the game and some of what we pros and cons and things like that. Give us the PR speak, if you will, that is being put out for this game.
Yeah, so Sons of the Forest is pretty much the sequel to The Forest that we have played together and enjoyed. It was such a blast to play that game. But basically, this one is you're sent out to find a missing billionaire on a remote island, which I'm assuming it's. I'm not sure if it's the same forest. I assume it is, just because it's in the title, right?
Which fuck you for who cares about finding a billionaire? Like, I'm sorry, I'm already like, what? We'll get into it as we go, like my thoughts on it. But I just was, when I read that, I was so shocked at that. But go on.
Right? Yeah. That's why it was weird. Like the I guess the story. I don't know what the story is gonna be about as per se. Right? I was thinking you were like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't, whether you were the main character from the first one, or someone from the
I,
first one. I don't know.
I'm gonna say I'm going at when we talk about the game, and everything, and I'm telling you this now. I'm gonna give you a warning at the time, but I'm gonna spoil the shit out of the forest, the first one. So go on.
But basically, it's got the same concept that the first one had, which is you craft, you build, you survive. You got the co-op elements just like the first one. And they're saying this is a new type of like survival horror simulator that they're doing, right? The second one, the sequel, they're trying to like amp it up, right, to be
Mm.
better. Um, but yeah, the survival horror that they have, a few features that they're adding into it. They're trying to give us a more realistic approach to like the crafting system, whether it's like the angle that you craft certain things, how you cut wood, how you create things, right? There's different like I guess animations, right, that they added, so it
Mm-hmm.
could be a little bit more realistic. And a new thing that kind of surprised me a little bit is that they're adding like NPCs. Like they're adding kind of
Yeah.
like the AI there, where they want you to have like almost like I guess like like a regular like linear game, right? Where you like meet characters, but it's weird because
Well,
it's a survival, like an open world survival game. So it's like, I don't know, it's caught me by surprise when
I
they
think
said that.
I think the name Sons of the
hmm
Forest kind of give that like I can I when they say Sons of the Forest, maybe it's like I could see it, especially now that you're going to find some fucking billionaire wet wipe in the forest. Um, you I could see them being like, well, here's your team to go,
Mm,
and like,
okay, okay.
you know, that kind of thing. So I could sort of see. I'm surprised by that, and given the ninja drop in the middle of the night, the AI for that, I don't, go on.
no, no, I totally understand. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really think much of the name itself, but I I mean, the only thing I thought about of the name was that it was literally like you're the son of whoever it was in the beginning, right? Or like the first one.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't. So that's why like reading the story, like at least the plot that they put in the description made me just think, oh, okay, so there is nothing to do kind of with the first game, I guess, right? um
mm-hmm,
they said they're adding now I'm gonna say a lot of like they say or they will add, because another big thing that I want it to be known is like the game is in early access, and I know the
yeah,
first one was in early access as well, right?
mm-hmm,
But I don't know, like it's just the things that they're saying that the game has, I would assume it has it, right? If you're describing all these things that are in the game,
right,
I
right,
assume that it's in the game, right? But
right.
apparently it's not as what they say. Like there's a lot of people who have been playing it where it's like, oh, certain things aren't there, or it's not
Yeah,
necessarily complete, which I understand. It's early access, I get it. It's like the one pro that we were talking about yesterday was like you could play the game now. Like
yeah,
that would
yeah.
be a pro. Right?
You can play a version of the game because if
Yeah,
it's not complete yet, it's a version of
exactly,
the game.
exactly, yeah.
Um, just real quick, just to pop in on that point,
Mhm,
you mentioned that the first Forest was early access, and I I wasn't paying attention to games that were early access or not, whether they were or not, right? Like I don't know. I started playing the Forest in 2020, so I don't know,
mhm,
but what I was gonna say was I don't remember, because you're saying that things that people are saying things aren't in there.
mhm.
I don't remember with the first Forest, and if anybody in the comments could remember, please post it in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't remember like a feature, a important feature that wasn't there in 2020 that was suddenly there when we played in 2022. Like
Okay, yeah.
I know they did bug fixes and things like, and they added minor features here. There tweaks to UI, tweaks the menu, and they added like AI improvements and things like that. But I can't remember like a major feature like a crafting thing or a something like that that wasn't there in 2020 that had been patched in. So the fact that a feature is potentially not there with Sons of the Forest worries me a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, I'm like I said, I don't really recall anything, but then again, I did play the game with you when once it was basically like finished and polished, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um so I can't really like speak on that, but it's just I don't know, the way they kind of hyped the game up, because I remember watching the first few trailers when they announced it. It looked,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but then again, it's a trailer. Like they usually do that, right, to hype up your game. I mean, I get it,
Yeah.
marketing, right? But other features that they're saying that they're supposed to have, or at least that they will have, is changing of the seasons, which we technically didn't have in the forest. We had
And add
like
biomes.
zones, right? Exactly. Yeah, we had the biomes. And this one, they're saying that there's going to be like changes of the season. Spring, summer, winter, all that. Like I guess like a cycle.
Uh, that
Um,
sounds interesting.
yeah, that was interesting. That was pretty interesting that they're adding. So like I said, they do seem to be trying to make this more immersive than the first one.
Mm,
A lot more like realistic takes on it. And
right.
then the last thing would be the co-op. I mean, that was like a huge thing in the first one, right? That you can actually
Yeah.
play with. I think it was up to like what, 10 people, right? Something like that, or eight
I think the
people.
first one was eight.
Eight,
Eight. The
okay,
first
eight
one, yeah,
people.
allowed you up to eight.
So that, I mean, that's pretty cool. Surviving in the forest
Yeah.
like with your friends and having all the chaos
Mm-hmm.
brew. But yeah, that's basically the features really that they're saying that this game is gonna be. I mean, it's supposed to be just a bigger version of like the forest. Um,
I'm gonna, yeah.
mhm.
Not to cut you off.
Oh, you're good.
You can finish what you.
um,
I
Jay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll just say this, like, I mean, I'm still excited for it because I love the first one. So don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna like. We will talk about like certain things here that we're kind of like maybe
Mm-hmm.
worried or whatever. I'm still excited for it. I think just right now, for how I'm seeing certain things, I'm definitely gonna probably wait on this one for a while at least.
Yeah, and I want to say it's a $30 price point, which I was a little surprised. I thought it was going to come out at a full $60 uh price point, which kind of makes me want to forgive a little more sins at
Hmm.
$30.
Yeah.
Um, But I will start what I'm about to say uh, off by saying I love the Forest, the original Forest. I love it. It's a special place in my heart. The first stream set of streams that I was ever part of on Twitch to where I was on the stream was playing the Forest with Tia Beastie
Mm, okay.
and Lionheart and a few others. And so I completed the game with them. And you know, it was this was in 2020. This was spring of 2020, like April around there. And it was not in the cleanest of states. I remember we were going through a cave and the water didn't load for Lionheart.
Oh my
Like
god.
the water was there, but the physics didn't load, so he
Okay,
just
okay.
dropped like a stone. And we all had, obviously the point was to swim across it, but he couldn't because he was like walking across. He wasn't drowning or anything, but he was stuck on the floor because there was no like way to climb up.
Yeah.
And so I forget how we ended up jerry rigging a sort of like, we built like one of these one night tents for him, and we built the tent for ourselves, and we all slept and saved and reloaded the game. But it was like, it's things like that. But those things were patched in and stability added that way. Now, I'm gonna talk about my apprehension with the story a little bit,
Hmm.
and then the game. So I'm gonna spoil the story of the Forest, the first Forest. So if you have not played and would like to play and don't want to be spoiled by this, now's your chance. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. Okay, so in the first Forest, you crash land on a island, and your son is kidnapped. And the whole point is to find your son. You're fine, but you're able to do it in a non-linear survival way. And you go through caves and find equipment, and you find other people who have been crash landed and marooned on this island. And of course, you're fighting cannibals and all this other stuff. And you have to build your shelter and eat and blah 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 blah. You end up discovering that on this island was some sort of facility, and this researcher guy that was like in charge of it, his kid came down with some sort of cancer, and they found an alien artifact that that could bring people back to life.
Mm, yeah.
And the only way, like, you have to sacrifice. It's like an equal sacrifice. Like, an adult cannot sacrifice for a child, and a child cannot sacrifice for an adult. In order to bring back a child, you must kill a child in the machine, vice versa. So that's why this guy was like shooting down planes with like this big EMP, because he somehow had to manifest, and you would see planes that had children on them, and you would shoot them down and then go and kidnap the kid. So that's how your kid got kidnapped.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
come into the facility, your kid's pretty much dead and on the table,
Oh my
and you go and find the researcher's daughter, and she's like alive, but then like this fucking octopus monster comes out of her mouth,
Yeah, that
and
was wild.
that's the final boss fight, right? Because she was brought back, but it's kind of like Pet Cemetery. They were brought back, but without their souls, kind of
Mm,
thing, right?
yeah.
So you get a choice at the end of the game, and this is why I made you do the choice that you did, because the canon ending is where you as the father down another plane to kidnap a kid and do the process, basically, do what was done to you do to
Yeah.
others to save your son.
Yeah.
And of course, the post-credit scene is you're on some cheesy late night talk show, and your son starts having a seizure, kind of like how the little girl did, but somehow he's okay. And then you flash forward, and you're like showering or whatever. It's like first person, you're showering, and you look around, like in the room, you see like he's just is in disrepair. He's been drunk. He's been drinking, and he's got the so many copies of his dad's book, Surviving the Forest, and he's got like maps and all of this shit. And then he looks out the window, and some shit. I think it was, what was it? Some shit was on his hand or something, like bubbling under his skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he looks up at the moon, and that's it, right? Like the inference being he's got something in him,
Yeah.
and he's gonna he's trying to go back to the forest to figure out what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the inference that the story gives. So when they are like, "Oh, you're going back to the island to find, or you're going to the forest," and they don't say which one to find a billionaire. I'm kind of like, now I'm gonna reserve judgment
Yeah.
because if it turns out to where you're the son going back
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
to the island, um, if you're the son going back to the island and you're leading this expedition because you survived the island and therefore you know the island and you
exactly. Yeah.
can,
That
you
makes
know,
sense.
that
That
that would
makes
be,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that would be
That
cool.
would be
I would
cool. Yeah.
like that. You know, the son maybe volunteered because he's gonna get to go back there for answers for himself while finding this wet wipe in the forest. You know, like that. To me, okay, the story's good. If you're just some random fucking bellend going into the forest with a group of people, then it's kind of like, I I told you, what was it? We were hanging out. I think it was the night before the game came out,
Mhm.
and I was like, they ninja dropped this tomorrow, and I was like, this thing is probably going to be an incomplete, bug-ridden mess because of the way they just like they just
Yeah.
dropped it and just ran. It's like when you take dog shit and put it in a bag, you light it on fire and you ring the doorbell and run. That's kind of what they did, and I'm just saying from a marketing perspective, it's kind of what it seems like they did. I'm not saying that's exactly what they did
Yeah.
because maybe they completed the game, maybe the game is in pretty good state, but they're like, what, this is playable, and we just want to get people to play it, because people waited long enough, and we'll
Yeah.
patch in some things as we go. That's possible. I personally don't think it's likely, but that's possible. Um, but I'm concerned about the fact that some people said that when they go crafting, some things are missing, some things just aren't there.
Yeah,
Um,
they've had a few bugs there saying like
yeah.
now I will say the game right now on Steam it is sitting at an 87% positive, right? Out of 18,000 users. So it's at a
Mm,
very positive, which is good for an early access game. You know, most early access game can either be mixed or mostly
yeah.
positive, right? You can see that.
Yeah.
So it is good. I think most of this is probably going to be people been waiting to play this. Like
Mm-hmm.
since the first one, right? Like since this was
Yeah.
announced, like everyone been wanting to play this and everything. And me like I could sit on that too. Like, oh yeah, I mean, I do want to play this game, like Sons of the Forest. Like, I've
Yeah.
been waiting for it since I finished the first one, and then they announced, it, and I was like, yo, it was good. Like the first one was so good, right?
I've been waiting 2 years.
Right. So like, yeah, I understand it. So I'm assuming like most people are just playing this, just trying to have fun as much fun as they can with it and everything. And then we have a few cons in there, and some of the cons that we were saying, like you said, there was some like crafting issues that people were having. Some people were having like some random deaths, where they would
Mm.
just try to get craft something and then they would die. I mean, it would I do assume that these are going to be case by case, right? If you're
Yeah.
sitting at an 87%, most people either aren't running into that many issues or they're okay with some of the issues, like they're not like game breaking, I guess.
Right. And I also think you're very correct in the anticipation thing because from what
Hmm.
I understand, it crashed Steam.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Steam
yeah.
page for the game
Yeah,
crashed.
there was people who were trying to actually buy the game and it wasn't even letting
Yeah.
them. So that was
Yes.
already like like a bug
Yeah.
outside of the game.
Yeah. Well, that just speaks to the demand because
Hmm.
here's the thing: the forest allowed you, and I say, I keep to the first one because I have no idea about the second one. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna get it. Like it's a for
Hmm.
sure buy for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna get it. I just, probably not gonna be this month. I'll probably wait a month. But um, the forest allowed you to literally, like, it was the ideal survival game. Like I don't care for survival games, to be honest with you. Like I kind of, take them or leave them,
Hmm.
but the forest was one that I always go back to. Like I've beat it with Tia Beastie and Lionheart, that group. I've beat it with some other people, you know, um, off off stream. I've beat it with some people on stream. I There was somebody I know that wanted to play through it on sort of safe mode, like not safe mode,
Mm.
but what's that?
It's
What's
just
that
a
mode where like
creative
there's no
mode, right?
enemies? Yeah, creative
Yeah.
mode. Well, you had to beat it to unlock creative mode. So I think she was like, I just want to play it on the easiest mode, but I knew the ending, right? Like I
Okay.
knew the boss fight, and the easiest mode, I think there's like no cannibals, and
Okay.
I remember telling her, I was like, I'll play with you if you want. Because like I said, I remember thinking to myself, there's no way that you can beat this game without that final boss fight. And lo and behold, I was correct. That final boss fight is still there, even on the easiest mode with no enemies. So it's a good thing I was there. But then we beat it on stream. So like I beat the
Yeah.
Forest so many times, and I've started a few playthroughs with friends on PlayStation, and I've started, like there's always the occasional thing where it's like, oh, I would love to play the Forest because the building is simple and easy.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
craft, like the crafting is simple and easy.
Hmm.
You can get complex with your crafting if you want, but you could just go wild and build gazebos and build a big like encampment with like a fenced in wall.
Yeah.
I remember somebody had a house with like hallways and all this other shit in it, like it was like really complex, and you get gardens and all this other stuff. So it's like there's a lot of stuff you can do within the game, and of course the story itself is both engaging, it's creepy, and it's not like forcing,
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
you go into a cave, like doing the cave explorations. I mean, that's some of the most fun of the
Oh
game.
my
Like you're
gosh.
in
Yes.
this cave, you hear the echoing, the chattering, screaming, and then the different types of enemies that are in the cave. And then as time goes on, the larger enemies start roaming the island, and it becomes even more challenging and all this other stuff. So the Forest, I think the first one really captured lightning in the bottle, and I hope that the second one lives up to that. Um, it was I worry about the second one only because you could allow bugs to a certain point, right? Like,
Yeah.
like I said, the first one had bugs galore, like a lot of people had bugs. I mean, poor Greshy didn't get to finish the game because of a bug.
Exactly. Yeah. That
When
sucked.
we were doing our stream, yeah, we were doing our stream, he didn't get to experience the ending because of a bug. So like there's still gonna be bugs, but so long as it's not unplayable or broken or like devoid of features where because those trailers that they showed, I mean, they like graphically and everything went
Mhm.
way above and
Yes.
beyond. So I'm hoping that it's not something that tanks FPS or does all this stuff. And I already saw a tweet from one person who wanted to play Sons of the Forest but can't because his equipment isn't good enough, his PC. And this
Yeah.
is somebody who was streaming Dead Space, the Dead Space remake. He was
Oh
streaming the
wow.
Dead Space remake and still couldn't do the Sons of the Forest. So,
Okay.
you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. We're gonna play it on stream for sure.
Hmm.
Um, like I know that, but I don't want it. Like I've never played Dying Light 2. I want to play Dying Light 2. We will play Dying Light 2, but I heard a lot of mixed things about Dying Light 2.
Hmm.
Like, and that was another anticipated game in this genre, in this vein. And Dying Light was a game that, like the Forest, holds a significant place in my gaming heart. So I'm hoping that the sequels don't shit the bed.
Yeah, yeah. I know exactly. I feel the same way. So I really do hope that we get some patches here soon, which I know it's early access. It's going to have patches. It's going to take a while for them to, add things and do the major updates. I just had one extra thing to say. Like I really did think that when you were saying like the price point was going to be like a full like AAA game or anything, right? Like I know this is like
Hmm.
a smaller dev team, like a smaller studio, but at least the way that I saw the games in the trailers, I was just like, wow, this looks like amazing. Like it looks so good,
Yeah.
like graphically, right? And like the mechanics that they were using, the new animation system. So I really didn't expect this to be early access. Like I thought this was gonna be like
Mm.
just the game was gonna release and that's it, right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, same.
like I didn't think it was going to be early access like the first one. I understood, they're trying to, work with the game and put ideas that they're working on and all that. But hopefully soon it won't be it won't be that bad, you know. Like, and I mean, we have to experience it ourselves too to see like
Yeah,
really what's going on and everything. So we'll
yeah,
definitely try to catch that soon. But yeah, that's our take on it. We're excited for
yeah.
it. We want to play it as well. We're just, you know, kind of reviewing a little bit of the impressions that we heard, um and the fact that it like sniped its release, like, I don't know. I mean, I know that
Yeah,
there was like a release window, right? But I honestly didn't even know like it was gonna be so soon, like, or like just out of nowhere.
listen, don't be like me on my honeymoon and just come unannounced.
Oh my god.
Release your game with a bit of a runway. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic as I always am. I'm looking forward to it when we try it sometime, probably in the calendar year of 2023. Stay tuned for that on Twitch, and I guess we'll just wait and see, BB. We have nothing to do but wait and see,
Yeah,
and
we shall wait.
just like you all out there have to wait and see the next episode of the BB&J Show, because that, my friends, that's been an episode. BB, thank you for doing this with me.
Oh, same fam, same. But yeah.
Yes, for real. Cap, gas,
Oh my
whatever
god.
else kids say. Fortnite, floss. I don't know. For BB, I'm Jay. We'll catch you on the next BB&J show. Stay tuned, and thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, consider liking, subscribing, and dinging the dong so that way you'll know when we put out new content. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.